Yo, what's up, nerds? It's MTG Man, and today I'm going to be talking about Rendmaw Creaking Nest. I saw this in the new precon, and I was like, damn, I want to build this. Now, I do have to say, it's a little bit sad that there's really no Scarecrow tribal typo going on in Duskmorn. You know, I would have preferred that over whatever they decided to do, but I personally really like Rendmaw too. So it's a 5 mana 5/5 Menace Reach. When it enters, and whenever you play a card with 2 or more card types, each player creates a tap 2/2 black bird token with flying, and the tokens are goaded for the rest of the game. So you cast cards with more than one card type, or play cards with more than one card type, and then your opponents will create birds, and then those birds are going to swing at each other, so that theoretically your opponents are going to take each other out, and then you have to be able to win the one-on-one. Because even though the tokens are goaded, once you and only one other player are left, that's goaded says attack a player other than you if able. If there's no other players to attack, they gotta attack you. So you have to make sure you're able to finish off the game no matter what. Another sub-theme for the deck, and this was the sub-theme for the precon that this guy came in, was like Mill and Delirium. So, you know, Renmaw wants creatures with, or wants cards with more than one card type. Delirium wants 4 or more card types in your graveyard. So there's going to be some Delirium synergy going on right now. Starting off, Grist the Hunger Tide. So when it isn't on the battlefield, this includes on the stack. It's also a 1/1 creature. So it's a creature and a planeswalker, meaning it'll trigger Rendmaw. And then it's also a creature and a planeswalker in the graveyard, so it'll help you with Delirium. It's mostly in for that, but I mean, you can use it to sacrifice a creature and destroy a creature, which is, let's be real, that's pretty helpful. You can, like, it's decent removal, or if you can get it to 5, each opponent loses life equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Could be a way for you to finish off a game, who knows. So then we're playing Ornithopter and Phyrexian Walker. Basically, it's a 0 mana artifact creature, so it's just 0 mana to trigger Rendmaw, so that your opponents are just creating more birds. Hitwire Might triggers Rendmaw, but it's also just a really good creature. It's a good removal effect. Patchwork Beastie. Patchwork Beastie's gonna mill for you. It's got a Delirium ability. Granted, without Delirium, it's a setback, but you know. And then it's also an artifact creature, so it'll trigger Rendmaw. It'll act as an artifact and a creature for other Delirium abilities. Bramble Familiar. Okay, so I wasn't exactly sure how this works in the graveyard, if this counts as a sorcery and a creature when it's in the graveyard. So don't quote me on that, but at very least it can help you mill and put things onto the battlefield, or it's a mana dork. I have a lot of mana dorks in this deck because I want to get out Rendmaw as fast as possible. Brood Spinner, it surveils when it enters, so it's going to help you get stuff in the graveyard. And then it can create insects with flying equal to the number of card types among cards in your graveyard by sacrificing it. It also has reach, so theoretically this could be a way to block incoming birds once it's a one-on-one game. Coppermill, ramp. Deathcap Cultivator, ramp. Also has a Delirium ability. Grim Flare. When it deals combat damage, you surveil 3, so it's going to help you get cards in the graveyard. And it gets bigger if you have Delirium activated. Leadenmere for ramp. Milliken mills cards and ramps. Osseous Stick Twister. It's here mostly for the Delirium ability, but again, even just like a lot of these other cards is they have multiple card types, so they'll also trigger Rendmaw. Steve, because it's just a good ramp piece. Sanctum Weaver, there isn't a lot of enchantments in this deck, however, we need to have enchantments in the graveyard. At worst, this is a 0/2 add 1 mana dork, but if you have multiple enchantments, it can be way better. Twitching Doll, again, the tokens will have reach, so this could be a way to deal with birds at the end of the game. Babalith Saga, Night Witch, so you sacrifice up to 3 permanents. If there were 3 or more card types among the sacrificed permanents, each opponent loses 3 life, and you gain 3 life, and you draw 3 cards. So there's like a couple interesting things. Like you could sacrifice, since things are multiple types, you could sacrifice like Ornithopter and one enchantment, and that'll count as your 3 card types. There's also the fact that the deck plays Biotransference, which is going to make all of your creatures also artifacts. So just sacrificing one artifact creature will be all 3 card types. You could also sacrifice lands, whatever. Color of the Hunt, so you choose a creature type, and its power and toughness are equal to the number of creatures in play of the chosen type. Choose birds. Every Rendmaw trigger, it's going to get +3/+3. It's going to just keep getting bigger. This could be another way for you to, like, clear off the game. Courser of Crufix, just going to help you get lands. Also is an enchantment creature. Nettling Nuisance. Whenever one or more fairies you control deal combat damage to a player, that player creates a 4/2 red. They create a 4/2 that's goated. I just thought it would be nice to have another way to get goated creatures onto the field. Nyx Weaver for mill, but it's also an enchantment creature. Omnivorous Flytrap, here for the Delirium, and it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bumping up your board. Palladium Mirror for ramp, also has, it's an artifact and a creature. Polygorph, basically here because if you fill your graveyard, it's just going to get really big and just be another way for you to help finish off games. 6 is a way to mill. It's also going to let you recast things from your graveyard, so it's kind of whatever you need. Rasta the Endless Web, again, it's an enchantment and a creature. Soul Swallower, at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have Delirium, you put 3+1/+1 counters on it, so it could get really big over time. Wickerfolk Thresher, when it attacks, if there are 4 more card types among cards in your graveyard, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you can put it onto the battlefield. If you don't, put it into your hand instead. So, I mean, a 5/4 for 4 isn't bad anyway, plus it's an artifact creature, plus just getting more lands out isn't really going to hurt, given that your commander is 5 mana. I mean, granted, Thresher is 4 mana, but, like, still doesn't hurt. Anrikir, the Traveler. When it attacks, you can cast an artifact from your hand or graveyard by paying life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost. So, I mean, this is a free Rendmaw from your graveyard if it died. This is whatever artifact creature you have. Consuming Blob, I just thought it was either a good way to win the game by it duplicating itself, or it can just be a big creature depending on what's in your graveyard. Phyrexian Triniform, another way to win the game. Will you ever have that much mana? Who knows? But it's also just an artifact creature, and if we're going to be milling anyway, it might be in the graveyard for the Encore ability. Of course, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Felwar Stone, Golgari Signet, Mesmeric Orb. Your opponents are going to have creatures attacking every turn because you're giving them those creatures to attack, so you might as well make them mill just for a little bit more value. Mind Stone, Swiftfoot Boots for protection on Rendmaw, Talisman of Resilience, Crown of Doom, so whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. And you can pay 2 to give this to another player. So you basically just give it to the player whose turn is last in turn cycle. And then whenever they're attacked with birds, the birds are then going to be 4/2 flyers. So just 10 birds kills them. Coat of Arms, again, each creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature on the battlefield that shares at least one creature type with them. Let's just say each opponent has 4 birds. All of those birds are getting +11/+11, which is fucking nuts. So, yeah, basically your opponents will kill themselves pretty quickly. Grizzly Salvage, to mill and to get things into hand. Return to Nature for removal, Beast Within for removal, Putrefy for removal, Dragtive Roots, cheap removal if you have the Delirium. Traverse the Ulvenwald is just a creature tutor if you have the Delirium. Feed the Swarm for removal, Night's Whisper is draw, Rampant Growth is ramp, Sign in Blood is draw. Deluge of Doom, you can give all creatures -X, where X is the number of card types among cards in your graveyard. So it's just a way to kill things, or like, if all of your opponents are low from swinging at each other with birds, you can then just kill all the birds so that you can finish the game and not have to worry about dying to birds. Crippling Fear, you could choose birds and then give all other creatures -3/-3. It's just a way to possibly clear the board if need be. Culling Ritual kills all birds. You're giving your opponents these birds, right? So Culling Ritual is going to be like, gee, your opponents have 12 birds. That's 12 black or green mana. So it's just a lot of value depending on how you play it. Harmonize is a draw. Convert to Slime is just a bunch of removal, and then it can also just give you a good ooze. Crown of Suspicion, you enchant a bird, you sacrifice it, all other birds get +2/-1 until end of turn, so they become 4/1s. This could just finish off an opponent. Same with Crown of Vigor, making them 3/3s could just finish off an opponent. Kendrick's Transformation for removal. Alpha status gives enchanted creature +2/+2 for each other creature in play that shares a type with it. So if your opponents, each opponent has 4 birds. You equip this to 1 bird. That bird gets +22/22, I think. So yeah, then that bird basically swings in and wins. Or kills one opponent, that is. Autumnal Gloom is a way to mill cards. Plus it has a Delirium ability. Crawling Infestation for mill. Ghoulish Impetus is just another way to goad your opponent's creatures. Biotransference makes all of your creatures into artifacts. That's also just going to give you bonuses for casting artifact spells. Here's the thing about Creekmaw, right? It says whenever you play a card that has more than one card type, right? Lands, if you play a land, that is playing a card. So artifact lands and enchantment lands are also going to trigger Creekmaw. That's why we have Darksteel Citadel, Forests, Llanowar Waste, Necroblossom Snarl, Power Depot. Yeah, we can't really do anything with Power Depot, but it's a free activation, so I just threw it in. Scene of the Crime, it's not great, but you could also sacrifice it to draw if need be. Swamp, Tainted Wood, Temple of Malady, Treasure Vault, Tree of Tales, Valgavoth Slayer, Vault of Whispers, Viridescent Bog, Woodland Cemetery. And yeah, so what you just do is you give your opponents birds, they swing out and attack at each other, and then you win. This is kind of a hard deck to illustrate through a test hand, but I think we'd mulligan that. I think we'd keep this. Okay, so then we would go Forest. I don't think we play Ornithopter until we can play Creekmaw. We play a Woodland Cemetery. Pass. Treasure Vault. Baba the Saga. We will traverse the Ulvenwald, search for a forest, move it to hand, play that forest for turn, play a Grim Flare, pass, Temple of Malady, scry 1. We're just going to put it to the bottom, go to turn 6, and then at this point, we'd run out Creekmaw, play a Sanctum Weaver, they create birds, play an Ornithopter, they create birds, and then I guess you could like Beast Within to destroy something, but you just want them to keep swinging at each other with birds. Definitely that hand had no real ramp. The deck hopes to get out Creekmaw turn 3, turn 4 if you have enough good ramp, but that was not it. Definitely an interesting commander. As far as playstyle, I just thought it's not exactly group hug. It's not exactly like Ramekin, the sky wall thing that makes, like, it doesn't stop them from attacking you. It doesn't really goad most of their other creatures. I just thought it was an interesting playstyle. Giving your opponents tokens, and I guess the other thing it kind of reminded me of, not Yom, what is, I think it's another black-green creature that gives your opponents tokens, but, that's going to be it for today. Let me know, what commanders from Duskmourn do you want to see? Is there anything, like, that's come out recently? Anything really interesting? Let me know in the comments, and this has been MTG Man signing off.